In a previous video, I discussed a concern I had, or really a fear, of not getting enough protein when I switched over to a whole food plant-based diet. I answered that question and put that fear to rest. Now in this video, I'd like to discuss kind of a similar fear, not a fear that I've had, but a fear that a lot of people have of eating too many carbohydrates, a fear of carbs, carbophobia. Where did this fear of carbs come from? Back in 1972, Dr. Robert Atkins wrote a book, The Atkins Diet Revolution. It wasn't very popular, and so several years later, in the 80s, when there began to be a fear of obesity, a lot of talk about the obesity of people in America, Dr. Atkins decided to revise his book, and in 1988, he republished it with the Dr. Atkins New Diet Revolution. Dr. Atkins proclaims that obesity is not caused by eating fat. It's caused by eating too many carbs. So he advocates severely restricting carb intake and getting most of your calories from fat and protein. Now, admittedly, for a person who has been eating a lot of processed carbs and a high-fat diet, to severely limit or restrict the processed carbs that they've been eating will result in quick weight loss. But what's wrong with this approach? First and foremost, a low-carb diet is very unhealthy and has long-term health consequences. Second, a low-carb diet lumps all carbohydrates into the same category, whether they're whole food plant-based carbs or whether they're processed carbs. And by doing so, it confuses people and makes them believe that all carbs are bad, all carbs should be avoided, when that's not true. Third, a low-carb diet emphasizes fat and cholesterol and proclaims them as nutritional heroes that should be increased, when in reality, fat and cholesterol are the cause of many of our health problems, such as cardiovascular disease, arterial sclerosis, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, to name a few.
Well, now we have studies that have measured the impact of low-carb diets on arteries directly, and a review of all the best studies done to date found that low-carb diets impair arterial function, as evidenced by a decrease in flow-mediated dilation, meaning low-carb diets effectively cripple people's arteries.
Virtually by definition, a low-carb diet emphasizes animal-based foods, whereas a low-fat diet emphasizes plant-based foods. The healthiest way to fight obesity is by eating a whole foods, plant-based diet that emphasizes whole foods that are high in nutrients, high in fiber, low in sodium, low in saturated fat, and very low in cholesterol, while at the same time steering clear of processed foods. Note the word processed, because these foods are low in nutrients, low in fiber, high in sodium, high in saturated fat, and high in cholesterol. I highly recommend the book, The Low Carb Fraud by T. Colin Campbell, PhD, and Howard Jacobson, PhD, which fully explains the danger of a low-carb diet. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more whofoo content. Until next time, do you whofoo?